In this WrestleTalk news, MJF explains his signing no-show at Double or Nothing, Gallows and Anderson's status following their WWE return, Luke's review of Raw, and more. Subscribe and enable notifications to always on for daily wrestling news videos.
Support WrestleTalk!
Do you remember back in the good old days of May this year, when the big news stories were Naomi and Sasha Banks walking out of WWE, and then MJF decided to upstage that entirely when he no-showed a fan signing event and a plane ticket was bought for him to go home and no-show Double or Nothing as well, but then he stayed and got squashed by Wardlow and was off our screens and not referenced at all until All Out? Do you remember that? I know a lot has happened since then, but MJF's controversial decision to no-show the fan event remains a point of contention among a large portion of wrestling fandom, and now MJF has appeared on Not Sam Wrestling to explain his actions. I did not go because my boss at the time was being a mark. So if you don't want to pay me what I'm worth, Daddy does not show up to work. It's that simple. Daddy got the money, Daddy's back. Now me and Tony Khan are best friends. Tony Khan, great guy. Great guy. Noting that AEW sent people to his hotel room to check on him after there was no response from him, MJF said, "When I stayed inside the hotel room, they did a wellness check on me, and the AEW security, this is a very true story, tried to break my door down. Now, at the time, I'd already left." This appears to confirm reports from the time that AEW searched for MJF and did a wellness check on him, something that was disputed around the time. Moving over to WWE now though, and there was yet another surprise return on Raw from former WWE stars, Gallows and Anderson, who returned to help their OC buddy AJ Styles. The last time they were seen in WWE was in April 2020, when they helped out AJ Styles in their Boneyard match against The Undertaker at WrestleMania 36. What a time. What makes this return even more interesting than the multitude of others that have happened since Triple H's return to power is that Carl Anderson is the current New Japan Never Openweight champion, and the status of that title is currently unknown. Unsurprisingly, Anderson didn't rock up with the belt on Raw, so it's not like it'll be featured on WWE programming, and you'd assume that he'll most likely relinquish the belt and force New Japan to crown a new champion, rather than WWE allowing him to wrestle another match in New Japan after he signed a contract with WWE. Anderson was originally scheduled to defend the belt against Hikuleo on November 5th, but now presumably that match is off and a replacement will be announced. A lot of that is currently unknown though. But it's not just returns that Triple H might have his mind on though, as he may also be bringing in some new talent. According to PW Insider, 2/3 of the former ROH six-man tag champions, The Righteous, that being Vincent and Dutch, were backstage at Raw this week. Since the group left Ring of Honor, Vincent has been seen in Impact Wrestling, while Dutch hasn't been seen in a couple of months, last wrestling at the tail end of August at Beyond American Rana 2022 Blackout. Their WWE status is currently unknown, but being backstage is a good indication that they may be brought into the company sooner rather than later. Now, hot tag to Luke.
Thank you for your support on Patreon, the venerable Jesse Venable and the cleaner Kenny Shah. Get your own WrestleTalk news shoutouts over at patreon.com/WrestleTalk. And now it's time for my review of Monday Night Raw, aka gee, I wonder how they'll follow up on that super hot Bray Wyatt return edition of Monday Night Raw in about 5 minutes. It's the season premiere of Raw, whatever that means, with a new commentary team of Corey Graves and Kevin Crabpatrick, who has swapped places for being a human microphone stand with Byron Saxton. But it's also the DX Celebration show, which means we got unfunny backstage segments of them doing jokes in air quotes about cocks and that. It wasn't funny in 2006, and 16 years have not been kind to that fact. Arguably the biggest pop of the night came from the graphic for Bray Wyatt, which said Bray Wyatt returns tonight. Now it should be noted that the Wyatt return at Extreme Rules was so hot that it actually shifted a lot of unsold tickets for tonight's Raw. And his pop here was actually somehow louder than the best thing in WWE right now, the Bloodline, who came out for the opening promo. But I'm just gonna say it now, in case you're watching this video having not watched this episode of Raw and you want to know what they did with Bray, by Bray Wyatt returns, what they meant was they actually just showed us the return at Extreme Rules in full. That's it. We got a creepy video later on and an announcement that he'll be on SmackDown, but that was it. This was not the best way to follow up on the hottest thing coming off your pay-per-view. It's actually quite terrible. What wasn't terrible though was the Bloodline, with Sami Zayn stepping up to relieve Roman of his duties of dealing with Jey Uso. It led to Matt Riddle coming out, and Jey convinced Sami that he should deal with Riddle because he's disrespecting the Bloodline. I've been informed through the medium of Twitter that they attempted to do some comedy with Yee, which Sami confused as Yeet, so Riddle followed suit and also said Yeet, even though that was not got the joke, but I am a 36-year-old white man from Kent, so I really don't have any grounds to comment on this. Anyway, the bloodline continues to rule, and it played into the Riddle vs. Zayn match later on perfectly. Austin Theory took another loss, this time to his former mentor Johnny Gargano, who hit a hell of a tope swinging DDT and a slingshot DDT for the win. A very fun match, but Mr. Money in the Bank Austin Theory cannot buy a win at this point. And neither can Chad Gable, who lost quickly to Rey Mysterio despite distractions from Rhea Ripley and Subernick. After the match, Dominic, who this week was dressed like a snooker player who's trying to buck the system, asked his dad to hit him again, but Rey refused, and after fighting off the rest of Judgment Day, got blindsided by his own son for tremendous heat. Following Extreme Rules, I really wish that Michael Cole was commentating on all of this, because he brings a level of passion that is missing from both Graves and Patrick. But that wasn't it for Judgment Day though, as they gloated about killing Beth Phoenix and making Edge say I quit, but then turned their attentions to Uncle Alan AJ Styles. AJ came out and said that Finn was right. He needed to turn to friends and family when his back is against the wall, and after teasing that he'll join Judgment Day, he revealed that he's reformed the club with the returning Carl Anderson and Doc Gallows. Typical WWE, always signing ex-Impact stars, why can't they push their own talent? Man, we're really not getting those Quizlemania Tag Team Championships back, are we? This was another great return for the reign of Hunter, and this Judgment Day AJ storylines continues to be my personal favourite thing on Raw. Byron Saxton interviewed Bayley, who said that she would win the Raw Women's Championship, and then showed how serious she was about being a top contender by losing to Candice LeRae in a fluke roll-up. Huh? Bayley and the rest of Damage Control then beat up LeRae and Bianca Belair, who attempted to make the save and posed with the title. But it's hard to get invested in Bayley as a serious title contender when she lost here and lost at the pay-per-view when she had a 3-on-1 advantage. This storyline has lost all steam and probably really should have just ended at Extreme Rules. And speaking of things losing steam, The Miz had a birthday celebration. Hey, we've got a brand new Twitter account at _WrestleTalk. There's links for that in the video description down below. Do go give it a follow. Look, I've been down on the Miz and Dexter Lumis storyline, and sometimes unfairly so. I think it's weird that the man who invaded Miz's home while his kids were asleep is the babyface in this scenario, and before you say anything in the comments, I've had it confirmed to me that Lumis is listed as a babyface internally, so he is the babyface, but I cannot deny the crowd reactions he gets. Problem is that WWE have been dragging their feet for so long with this story that the Lumis pops aren't what they were a month or so ago. Case in point, when Lumis revealed he was under a present like a little Diglett, the reaction was, yeah, we know. Maurice did her best to make it look like she fell on a cake when she missed it by a country mile, and both left while the crowd chanted for Lumis to eat said cake. I was ready to get really annoyed at this storyline for still not going anywhere, but they did some more comedy with DX later, where they announced next week The Miz will face Dexter Lumis. And if Miz wins, Lumis is gone forever. But if Lumis wins, he gets a contract. It is, at its most basic level, a step forward. So thumbs up from me. Omos beat up two local lads and it was as boring as you can imagine, but then Bobby Lashley had a great segment prior to his US Championship match against Seth Rollins. Bobby called out Rollins to start the match, but a returning Brock Lesnar came out instead. He gave Bobby a couple of F5s and some German suplexes and even locked in the Kimura. They put over on commentary so hard that Bobby was no longer able to defend his title, but Seth taunted Lashley into doing it anyway because soldiers are not supposed to be cowards. It led to an excellent match, which was nothing but high spots. Lashley kicked out of the pedigree and frog splash. He hit a spear but couldn't lock in the hurt lock because of Brock's attack, and he fell to two stomps by Rollins to crown him the new United States champion. A brilliant way to get the belt off Lashley, who, let's be honest, has been doing nothing with it, and it sets up a crown jewel match between him and Lesnar. This was all great. They announced that Elias is returning next week. LOL, I thought he was dead. And we got an excellent main event between Sami Zayn and Matt Riddle, built around Sami telling Jey Uso to not get involved because he was handling this situation. He didn't handle it well though, as Riddle pinned him with an RKO. The reaction by Sami, Jey and Jimmy after the match was awesome and would have been a superb final visual for this episode. But with only 8 minutes left, DX came out and did some catchphrases. Look, I don't know what people were expecting. I did see some online say they should do a big angle or put over some younger talent, but that's not what DX reunion segments are for. They're there for them to say catchphrases and look cool, which they sort of did. Look cool, that is. They sure got all of their shtick in, and even, finally, gave a shout out to China, which should have been done a decade ago. Corey said on commentary that if you aren't having fun, then you don't belong. Well, I guess I don't belong then. So that was this week's Raw, and it was really quite a good show. Really good, in fact. The wrestling was solid throughout. We got 3 big returns in the Good Brothers and Lesnar, and some more excellent Bloodline stuff. The Women's Championship scene sure could do with some tinkering, and the DX thing was what it was, but for me, the biggest failure of the night is not capitalizing on the Bray Wyatt return. They must have known it was going to be a big deal coming out of Extreme Rules. So to have nothing on a show that will get a better rating than usual coming off the buzz is mind-boggling. I'm not saying that my interest has been killed or he's being buried, because that would be in bad faith. But I do think this is a fumbled ball. This week's episode of Raw is still 4 out of 5. In this WrestleTalk news, Bray Wyatt's WWE return has been a huge success. Is there a Wyatt 6 faction coming in? Another big update on Jon Moxley's AEW contract, and more.